Thanks for coming. Thanks for talking to us. We appreciate it.
It's good to be back.
Big news today. You know, it's $285 million
Yeah.
that will hire 14,000 mental health resources across the country. Impressive numbers here in North Carolina that come along with that. But what will that look like in a classroom like this?
So, first of all, it's great to be back in Charlotte, but I'll tell you, I believe that our teachers, our educators, social workers who pay attention to the needs of our children are the angels walking among us. They literally have answered a calling to care about other people's children. And they just don't have the resources they need. And in particular, when you look at children like some children in this school, but all across our country, who are experiencing extraordinary trauma because they have either personally witnessed or in some way have experienced loss because of gun violence. And, you know, when we talk about trauma, it's real, right? And it is about the social, the emotional well-being and health of each one of us, but in particular when it impacts our children. Devastating consequences, in addition to their ability to learn what it means in terms of how they'll act out, and if it's not being diagnosed, how they'll be treated when they simply just need help. So the money that we are putting, and President Biden and I feel very strongly about this, let's put the resources into local school districts to give them what they need to have mental health counselors, to have professionals who can check in with the kid and literally do what they're doing at this school and ask children, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling today? Or they'll have them look at an emoji with different facial expressions. Which one describes how you're feeling today? Mental health professionals who can be in safe places such as schools, where kids can come in and say, I don't feel so good today, I'm sad. And they can go to the mental health counselor who can help them talk through their pain in a way that can help them heal in a healthy way.
You spoke to some students here who have seen some violence firsthand themselves. What did you learn from them?
First of all, it's tragic. You know, so I met with a group of middle school students, and they're so young, but they're still very mature in a way that we actually perhaps would want that our children wouldn't have to be so mature at such an early age, right? But what I learned from them is they said, well, we want to know that we will actually have a safe place to be able to talk about our feelings. We want to know that there will be adults who would actually ask us about our feelings and know how to talk us through the fact that we might have nightmares at night, or during the day in a classroom, we're having flashbacks, and that's why we're acting out. It's not because we don't care and don't want to learn. They talked to me about, well, it seems that certain people should just not be able to buy a gun. Background checks is what we call it. They talked about the fact that they would like that part of the curriculum in class would be to teach students the consequences of gun violence, right? So where our kids may see images of violence being a sign of strength, somebody holding a gun as being a sign of strength, instead that they would be taught in the classroom that actually can lead to horrible consequences, and it's not about strength, and it's not about uplifting the community, but actually destroying the community.
What would you tell moms and dads listening to this who just don't feel safe in Charlotte or in the U.S. at this point?
I think that the best thing that we can do, and certainly President Biden and I feel strongly about this, is support parents in their natural desire and duty to raise their children in a healthy environment where they have the support they need. You know, working parents, you know, especially if they're working 2 or 3 jobs, they can only do so much. And it is important that we make sure that when it comes to the schools, when they send their child to school each day, that the resources are in the school to support what the parent wants, which is that it'll be an environment where the child can actually learn and not be distracted.
A WCNC investigation earlier this week found that some of the resources from past money from this, about $40 million here in the Carolinas, hadn't made its way to the schools that needed it. What would you say needs to be done to make sure that this new plot of money, this $285 million, gets to where it needs to be going?
Well, that's part of why I'm here, to make sure that the money gets to where it needs to be going. We created the first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention to make sure that we have focus that is intentional on getting resources to school districts, to communities like Charlotte who need the support to address the issue of gun violence, both in terms of prevention, but also helping folks heal if it happens after it happens.
Last night, Donald Trump made news during a debate on Fox News, said that the passage of Roe v. Wade, or the reversal of it, what was, quote, a miracle. Your response to that?
What we have witnessed as a result of what he is claiming is his credit due, but I would say blame, is that we have seen that the women of America have been denied a right to make decisions about their own body. When the Supreme Court of the United States, the highest court in our land, decided the Dobbs decision, they took a constitutional right that had been recognized from the people of America, from the women of America, to make decisions about their own body. And let's be clear on the subject. One does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government should not be telling folks what to do with their own body. If they choose, they will speak with their priest or their pastor or their rabbi. But it should not be the government telling them what to do with their body.
Here in North Carolina, we now have a 12-week ban. Not as strict as some states, but certainly stricter than other states. That said, we are now in the middle of the presidential race. I covered the 2008 race when Obama took North Carolina. It was a big deal. We thought that might be the beginning of a blue wave. Democrats hoped, and that's not been the case. What do you think Democrats can do to finally seal the deal in what is, by all accounts, a purple state?
Well, let me tell you first of all, I love people in North Carolina, and I love being here. This is my 9th time being in North Carolina as vice president. Of course, I've been here before then. And the reason I'm here on an issue like what we need to do to support teachers and schools and parents around giving our children what they need in the schools and the classroom is because the people of North Carolina and the experience that they are having is part of the measure of how we are doing as a country. And it is important to me, it's important to the president that we focus on folks like those here in this beautiful state. And it's not about politics. It's about what's the right thing to do. When we were elected to represent all Americans, whether they voted or not, whether they voted for us or not. And listen, as far as I'm concerned, in North Carolina, there's a lot of support here, and I thank people for the support, but we are here to serve all people in our country, and that includes, of course, this beautiful state.
Final question. What is at stake in this election?
Everything. Fundamental freedoms are at stake. We talked about the fact that we have now witnessed the highest court in our land take a fundamental freedom, which is the right that people should have to make decisions about their own body. The freedom to have access to the ballot, where you're seeing in states across our country laws being passed that would ban drop boxes, that would even punish people for giving food and water to folks standing in line to vote. By the way, what happened to love thy neighbor? Freedom's at stake. The freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. Right? The freedom that people should have to live free from gun violence and the fear of gun violence. Freedoms are ultimately what are at stake in this election. And I feel so strongly that our democracy is going to only be as strong as our willingness, each one of us, to stand up and fight for it.
Vice President,
Thank you.
absolute pleasure. Thank you for taking time. Enjoy your limited time here in North Carolina.